Hi, I'm Paul Gilding. I'm the author of The Great Disruption, Why the Climate Crisis Will Bring on the End of Shopping and the Birth of a New World. The book's focus is really about why the crisis around climate change and other sustainability issues is now inevitable, and why, as a result of that, we're going to have to learn to face up to that crisis and manage it. The reason I called the book The Great Disruption is I think it's important to recognise it's not like a doom and gloom, the end story. The Great Disruption is saying we're going to be interrupted, right? It's a disruption to the way we've been doing things and a change to something different and I think something better. So the Great Disruption is really saying, look, we're going to have to face up to the fact that we are going to have a crisis, that we've left it too late to prevent the climate crisis, too late to prevent the food crisis, too late to prevent peak oil. These things are going to happen. The question is, how do we get through that and move on? And the book is really about saying there's going to be a very disruptive period where we do have to mobilise, as we do in war, to respond to the crisis that emerges, but also to think through how we'd like to rebuild society after that. Humanity has shown itself in times of war and other crises to be extremely good in a crisis. And we know, I sort of say in the book, we're kind of slow but not stupid. We're slow to respond, but then we're really good at getting moving once we have to. And so I thought that through a couple of years ago and said, well, what would that look like? And I worked with Jürgen Randers, a professor out of Norway, who was one of the authors of the Club of Rome's Limits to Growth report in 1972. So he's been around in this issue for even longer than I have. And we sat down and we spent a couple of years working on a paper, which we called the 1 Degree War Plan, which was looking at, so how would society respond if it really took this issue as what it is, which is a civilization-threatening issue. And the 1 Degree War basically says, look, if we put our minds to it, we could cut CO2 emissions, for example, by 50% in 5 years. We could eliminate them in 20 years, and we could actually bring the system under control. But it is going to take an effort comparable or probably greater than what we did in World War II. We're seeing food prices spike to record highs. Now that's always a combination of things. It's certainly part of what I'm saying about economic growth, that the stronger the economies get in China and India and the like, the more they demand meat and different products that are more grain intensive, so that increases demand. You have degraded land, meaning the supply goes down. Then you have climate change putting in droughts and floods, which is affecting supply in certain areas. Now that's always happened. What's happened is it's now happening everywhere at once, and therefore you're getting these systemic changes. So droughts in Russia, causing the wheat supply to go down last year. We've now got droughts in China, floods in Australia, floods in Brazil. A whole range of different areas are being affected at once, and as a result, food prices are going up quite dramatically. Now, food prices, of course, is a bit irritating if you're in the US and you're paying more for your bread. But if you're in a poor country and you're paying half of your income or more on food, then it's not an irritation, it's a life-changing and life-threatening experience. So then you get the geopolitical instability. And so recently we've seen in Tunisia and Egypt the political unrest, part of which is driven by increasing food prices. So this is where this whole kind of thing comes together, is that you get this process where the geopolitics of countries is influenced by food prices go up, oil prices go up because of peak oil, the instability in the Middle East causes oil prices to go up, oil is of course a huge input cost into food prices go up, that creates more instability, and so you get this sort of cycle unfolding of chaos and uncertainty growing as a result of all these impacts coming together around the food price.